So today I thought we'd take a look at one of the books I have in my collection. And today I thought we'd look at this one, the Book of Hedge Druidry by Joanna Van Der Hoeven. So, let's sit down and take a look inside. Okay, so here we are, the Book of Hedge Druidry, a complete guide for the solitary seeker by Joanna Van Der Hoeven. And let's dip in. Now, the purpose of this walkthrough is, well, I guess there's a lot of you out there that are looking to see whether or not this book is the right book for you. And so what we'll do, we'll have a look at the structure of the book, and then we'll dip into one or two chapters and we'll have a look and see whether or not this is the right thing for you. Right, well, the book is split into 4 sections that we can see in the contents here. Part 1, Theory. Part 2, Practice. Part 3 is Study. And Part 4 is Skills and Technique. Now, one thing I should say is that the book is not indexed, which I find a little annoying. I don't see why it's so difficult to put an index in a book. And considering most of the books I buy, I use them as references. As reference books. So oftentimes I want to look up a particular subject and see what this book has to say about that. And when it doesn't have an index, that makes that rather difficult. Anyway, so back to the table of contents, and I'm not going to read out every little, every chapter. You can pause the video and you can look at it yourself. But we will come back now to Part 1, Theory, and we'll dig into a couple of chapters just to see what she has to say on some of those things. Let's have a look at Chapter 3 and the gods and see what she has to say about that. So, page 25. As a hedge druid, I can make up my own mind about what constitutes deity and what does not. Fair enough too, I reckon. Based on both research and experience, it's what works for you, basically. And that's what she says. For me, deity can be several things. It can be a collective energy of a place in nature. It can also be a collective energy of human nature, such as love, anger, compassion, or time. I like that. So she's saying basically, gods are personified collective energies. Now she split the deities up into the Irish, Welsh, and the Gaulish and Brethonic deities. The Brethonic people were really the people of the British Isles before the Anglo-Saxon invasions. And after the Anglo-Saxon invasions, then the Brethonic people, the people of the island of Britain, the tribes of the island of Britain, tended to move further west and north. And of course, there were migrations then to the continent from Cornwall and Wales to France, what is now France, and what we now call Brittany, and the Breton people. But I do like the fact that she's given you here a number of gods that we know through the historical record rather than the mythological record. We know these were worshipped by the Celts throughout Britain and throughout, well, what was Gaul at the time. So I think what she's done here is quite good, really. She's given us historical gods that we know were worshipped throughout Britain and throughout Gaul. And we also have a selection of mythological deities from the Irish and the Welsh. Okay, so I'm quite happy what she's done there. I think that's quite good. And now, the ancestors. She's given us a chapter on the ancestors here, which again is something that we know the Celts. The Celts were into veneration of the ancestors, and that goes back further than the Celts. That goes back right through the Neolithic. Okay, so let's see what else we have in here that we can dip into. Back to the table of contents, the all-important table of contents. So, 3 realms, land, sea and sky. The world tree, the hedge, and the other world. So let's look up, seeing as this is the Book of Hedge Druidry, let's look up what she says about the hedge and what a hedge druid is. Because if you're thinking of buying this book, you'd want to know that, wouldn't you? And what page is that? 47. Here we are, 47. Let's find where she's talking about the hedge druid. So the other world is an important place for the Celts. It's the borders lying on and overlapping our world so that we can traverse these boundaries. Hence the hedge. So she talks about the world tree as well, which is, again, very good. Moving along. We're looking for the hedge druid and what a hedge druid is. So what she's saying here is that the hedge is the boundary between the 3 worlds. A boundary that delineates one space from another. In doing so, we're able to travel from this world to the other world and experience life on different levels through our connection to the other world. All it means really is somebody that works as a solitary and someone that works between the material and the spiritual world. So the hedge is seen as being the boundary between the 2 worlds. Okay, so that's what this book is completely about. It's working as a solitary, and it's about working between the worlds. Now, we go on to talk about the three worlds of the other world and the low world. The one she does talk about a Noven. So that's good. Oh, and she talks about Gwynap Nuth, seen to be Lord of the Dead when he's out on the wild hunt. And dual sovereignty of the fair folk and the ancestors is apparent. So that's good information there. And we can see Gwynap Nuth as the guardian of the cauldron of Anoven, the protector of the goddess deep within the earth. So there's the underworld, the world of the ancestors. And the middle world, the world that we all know, the world of the material. Then we have the upper world, far more interesting. The upper world is the place of potential, our highest potential, as well as being associated with divinity. The world of enlightenment and inspiration. So down there for the ancestors, up there for inspiration, or should I say, down there for the ancestors and the spirit world, up there for inspiration and enlightenment, and all artistic endeavours. Let's not forget that. Okay, so back at our table of contents, and she talks of the four quarters, and earth, fire, air and water, and north, south, east and west, and I suppose she's got a good section on that. We won't dig into that too much, otherwise we'll be here all day. Whole point circle, blah blah blah, all good information. Okay, so north is the place of darkness. So north's place of nocturnal creatures, the badge of the bat and the owl. So she goes quite into depth on it, and that's about all I can really go through with you on this. And the east, okay. So it's enough to say that she goes into the four quarters in quite some detail in regards to theory. And she talks about the centre, oftentimes forgotten. Okay, so that's good. The Wheel of the Year, well, we know what she'll be talking about there. Beltane and Samhain, all the others. So look, 69, another quick peek just to see how in depth this book is. All 8 festivals, celebrated Celts, we know, all season agricultural festivals, very good. Important, celebrated solstices and equinoxes may not have been. And Gerald Gardner and Ross Nichols and Canon gave. So she's given the Welsh as well as the Irish names. And she's told us that it's split into agricultural cycles, 4 agricultural cycles, and then the 4 cycles of the sun, basically. Astronomical cycles is the word I was looking for. which are considered to be the minor Sabbats, the solstices and the equinox. So there's lots of information on the wheel of the year and the various festivals. Now, back to the table of contents. So, ticks all the way through so far. The cycle of the moon. Well, I'll leave that one for you guys to dig into. Meditation, prayer, magic. Okay, we'll have a quick look at what she says about magic. And we should note that she does talk about animism as well. Let's have a quick look at magic, see what she says about magic. Page 127. So she talks about divination. So for those that you don't know, divination is methods of telling the future. And she talks of shape-shifting. And this is a shamanistic practice, transferring one's consciousness into something that will have far greater effect later on. So this is a spiritual practice, really. We don't turn ourselves into hares and wolves. Well, I don't. Not a wolf. But we learn from those spiritual guides that we encounter on our journeys. So, and if you want a good journey to find your spirit guide or some of your spirit guides, then have a look. Oh, it's difficult, isn't it? Up there. I'll try and put it up there. Okay, so what have we got? Divination, shape-shifting, and somewhere here she defines magic. So essentially, what is magic? It's energy that we can harness and then use to our own purpose or that of others. And then she gives a little bit of a philosophy on magic. So it's mind over matter. That's my view of it. The mind is the place of the spirit, the spiritual world. So there we have the three worlds again. And we've also got, I did a bit of a talk on Carl Jung and synchronicity. And that is his endeavours basically to find the link between what goes on in the psyche and the material, and he believed there was a link and a bridge. And again, if you're interested, it'll be there somewhere. Magic requires focus and concentration and a good deal of visualization. Let's skip back to the contents and just dip into practice. And what is it we'd like to look at here? So altars, ritual space and tools, she's got that covered. Crafting sacred ritual. Rites and rituals for the Hedge Druid, seasonal rituals, moon rites, rites of passage, daily practice. Okay, so altars, ritual space and tools. Well, we know what that's going to be about. Setting up your altar, creating sacred space, what you have on your altar. So crafting sacred ritual. So we'll have a quick look at 153, crafting sacred ritual, and chapter 16, rites and rituals for the Hedge Druid. And that should give us an idea of just how in depth this book is here, and whether or not it's what you're looking for. So 153, people. 153. And 153. Crafting sacred ritual. What, where, how, why, and when. That's straight to the point. I like that. Where we perform our ritual depends largely on what is available to us at the time. Fair enough. We may have vast swaths of forest nearby in which to work. Be careful of that. The police don't like you waving your thummy about in public. Not recommended. They don't like people with hooded cloaks prancing about at midnight either. Why do we perform ritual? Well, as already discussed, it can deepen our awareness of the natural world and remind us of our connection. It also helps us establish a tradition, a sense of being a part of something. It can deepen our awareness of the natural world and remind us of our connection. So here we go, elements of Druid ritual. So she's giving you a bit of a formula, so you can read through that. And then she goes into depth on each of those steps that she's outlined. So what else did we say we wanted to look into? Rites and rituals specifically for the Hedge Druid. So now we come to the exciting part, actually doing the work itself. Here I will present some examples of the rituals that you can use or can inspire you to create your own, in your own tradition and on your own path as a Hedge Druid. I like what she said there. That creating your own. Of course, we have to start somewhere, and it's good to have somebody lay things out for you as a starting point. So she seems to have this covered. Declaration of intention. Lovely. Meeting the ancestors. If that's literal, that might not be so lovely. Okay, ritual to connect with the realm of land. And a ritual to connect with the realm of sea. Ritual to connect with the realm of sky. Druid blessings to incorporate land, sea and sky into your life. Ritual to enter the lower world. So let's look at this intention. I have come to seek out the world tree, to ride down to the lower world, to know myself better, and meet with the guardian of the cauldron, the Lord of Nuven. Canunos, Gwynap Nuth, take your choice. Middle world ritual. Ritual to enter the upper world. Rite of protection. Using the Shield of Brigade. And then she talks about seasonal rituals and how to perform them. So like I say, some good interesting stuff here. Now, you may not see it exactly the same way, or you may be starting out, but you can always learn, and I think this book is in depth enough so that most people could pick something out of here that they would find interesting and would enhance their own spiritual practice. I think that's fair to say. So, full moon ritual, dark moon ritual, so she's into the moon rituals here now. And I think that's enough of the practical. So, what else was there? Study. So, we won't dip into these because it's just enough to know what she's covering. And she covers herb lore, Ogham script, and spellcraft. And in part 4, skills and technique, well, she's talking about ethics. Peace, I'm not sure what she means by that. Voice, body and movement. So this has been a walkthrough on the Book of Hedge Druidry by Joanna Van Der Hoeven, and I hope you found it useful. Now, who do I think this book is for? Well, should I say first what I find are the good points in this book? And I don't think there's any bad points, so I'm not going to say any bad points. What I will say is that the book is not just based on popular mythological culture. There is quite a lot of information in there that is historically based. Comprehensive, I think, is quite deep in the subjects that it covers. I think it goes in very deep in theory. I think this book is for anybody from beginner through to intermediate. And I think that most people could read this book and pick up something that would enhance their own spiritual practice. In terms of practice, well, there's enough there to get you started. It's not a book of spells, although it does have a few things in there, and frankly, I wouldn't want a book of spells anyway. I think you should create your own ritual, and she does say that. So she's given you enough to get you started, and I think her philosophy is right in terms of how you should be using ritual. It's not for somebody that wants some in-depth information into rituals of ceremonial magic. I mean, if you want that, you look at Crowley and good luck. So I think this is far more practical. She's giving you some, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I think it's important. She's giving you some ideas to get started, and she's giving you the right philosophy that you should really, once you get used to doing things and you know what you're trying to accomplish, you should be creating your own rituals that are meaningful to you, that will serve you far better. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this walkthrough. And if you have and you'd like to see some more, then don't forget the thumbs up and leave a comment down below. And with that, I'll see you very soon on the next one.